Get in the zone here for the next one. For episode 3 about UFOs.
That's right.
Tom Daly here with Sean McCarthy. I'm wearing my UFO shirt.
You are.
It's not...
Very nice.
Yeah.
East Van as well.
East Van,
Yeah,
exactly. Where I lived for 4 years.
Yeah.
And you can see the...
Scarier than any alien abduction.
It was the East. It was the... You were there.
I was.
You were there, yeah.
All three of us were.
All 3 of us were there, and the UFO was abducting the cats. And how much do you want to bet these cats wound up in the chicken balls on on Hastings one night?
Oh.
Creepy Dave, are we rolling?
Yes, we are.
All right, perfect. So, hello everyone. We are back again here for episode 3, and I think I already said it, but I'll say it again. I am Tom Daly here once again with my best friend for the past 30-some god-awful years.
That bad?
No. They were fantastic. The Doctor of History, Sean McCarthy. How are you, Sean?
Oh, very good. Yeah,
Awesome.
that's it.
So we are here today.
Can you tell that we filmed this immediately after filming the Dungarvan Hooper episode where we were drinking? So there you go.
Just saying, your local breweries, local distilleries, give us a shout out. You know, if you give us the goods, we'll make you look good.
We will.
And so we are here today to talk about UFOs. All right, folks, so if you noticed a weird cut there for a moment, that's because UFOs are in fact real. And we have proof right now because for some strange reason, something that we could not see, there was a light that appeared outside the window and it messed with our equipment, didn't it, John?
Exactly. That's
so
right.
now,
That's right.
yeah.
Those alien bastards don't want us to...
They don't want us to tell the truth.
Yeah, exactly.
Because this is the real truth. We were talking about X-Files, weren't we? That was the movie. The last movie I saw, The Vogue, I do believe.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It was upside down at one point. Oh, yeah. For those of you watching from anywhere else, we had this movie theater, which, surprise, surprise, like so many things in this town, burned to the ground years later. But, it was the movie theater when we were growing up. Yeah. And, we saw all sorts of classics. I remember seeing Jurassic Park and Titanic with my parents. Got to see Kate Winslet's titties with my dad, my mom. Yeah, and anyway, X-Files, the last movie I ever saw at the old Vogue Theater, and it was upside down at one point, and I do believe that was the aliens who did that. I think somebody, some part of the management tried to sell us that one, so they'd have to return the $7 or whatever the movie was back then.
Not a big fan of X-Files. I mean, I did watch the movies, but big fan of... remember that old series that Leonard Nimoy used to host, In Search Of?
Oh, yeah,
I used to watch that all the time. And there was a lot of things like that on it.
That's true.
Unsolved Mysteries, too.
Unsolved Mysteries as well. Huge fan of Unsolved Mysteries. Yeah, you're not from the 80s unless you don't have fond memories of Robert Stack in an alley, in a trench coat, telling you about murders and killers that were never...
Asking you to join him.
And join him. They were never caught. Maybe you can help me unsolve this mystery. Crazy times. But back to UFOs, the topic at hand. Now... I was just saying this to you when we were off camera. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of ghost stories from around these parts, don't we? And I've not heard too many UFO stories. This one took a little bit more hunting because I think everybody in their, cat has a story about a ghost that somebody in their family has, seen or whatnot. But UFOs, a little bit, not so much.
That's right. And really, I mean, I just kind of fell arse backwards into this first story that we're going to be telling. As you know, did a lot of research in my day for school, so spent a lot of time in the library going through old newspapers looking for things, and then at one point just happened to be going through 1947. I can't remember what for, but I remember July of 1947 finding this article about flying saucers in Miramichi, and I mean I never heard anything about this, and I thought, wow, this is really interesting to kind of. To kind of see this, and then read through the article, and it's an interesting story, of probably 3 or 4 sightings, all within a matter of days, and then a retrieval of sorts. So shall we dive right in. We'll kind of get into
Yeah.
this.
I'm just thinking that you mentioned 1947. That is the year for UFOs, isn't it? That is the year when all the crazy stuff starts happening. And like I know Roswell is the big one, but then there's these other sightings too, all over the States. And when did you say this was? This was
July.
Damn it! They beat us again. It was June, I think, the first sightings that were in 47. It was, somewhere in the Midwest. Kenneth Arnold, I think, was a pilot or something, and he saw some things. And again, there's all sorts of information you'll find on other channels about this stuff. But 1947 is when stuff starts popping up over Chicago and the Midwest and all the way out to the Pacific Northwest as well. And of course, Roswell down in Mexico, the big one. But yeah, we're going to talk about closer to home here and how maybe it's the same UFOs. Hey, travel is easier for them than it is for us. So if they can make it that far, they can make it across that border.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
You hear that, Woodstock? Yeah. And St. Stephen. So anyway, the UFO sightings here in close to home, 1947. Yeah. What do you got, Dr. History?
Well, according to the articles that I read in the Chatham Gazette and the Union Advocate, it starts with a group in Chatham. They're out for a drive one night, and they see what they described as a fireball up in the sky, and it was kind of moving from toward Reshibucto, which, for those of you who are not from New Brunswick or from the area, is a little bit to the southeast of us, off toward Logieville, which is a little bit closer to just a little bit downriver from Chatham itself. And it would send off these sprays of light every couple of seconds. And then there was a group that was on the other side of the river, down Barty Bogue that way, and claimed to see it too, but they said that it was more of like a blue color and was kind of sending off white light as well. So they described it more as a saucer with ragged edges. Wow. Yeah, so that's it. Now, two episodes ago, we were talking about we had Project Blue Book, the comic out, and we were talking about voyeurs.
Voyeur aliens. They're watching you.
That's it. So Nora McCollum was sick at home in bed in Newcastle, right on the King George Highway here, and claimed that there was this UFO floating just over top of the trees outside of her window. So she's looking in at her.
This is long before drones, folks. The drones are definitely watching you right now. If you're watching us, they're watching you. Just a vicious circle of constant watching. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. So she said, that it was traveling from the direction of Beaubears Island. Just hovering over top of the trees, and she said it was about the size of a lampshade.
Okay, so very tiny.
Yeah, it was just a silvery.
What is that? That's weird.
Yeah.
So very small, size of a lampshade. That's there's nothing like that back in those days.
That's right.
Back in 47 that would
Yeah.
even resemble that. No.
Yeah.
And coming from Beaubears Island, that's very peculiar as well. So you folks that aren't familiar with Beaubears Island, it is not some booming hub of technology, is it?
No. She said, it's basically just a big forested enclave in the middle of the Miramichi River. So obviously it wasn't sent up from there.
But there is a tomb full of dead Mormon kids.
That's true. The whole thing sort of comes to a head probably about 2 or 3 days after the sighting by Miss McCollum. It's Oscar Bjornstrom.
I don't like the sound of this name. Now, before anybody calls me racist, that's going to happen anyway, or prejudiced or whatever, my wife is actually from Sweden, so I know where this is going. Yeah.
So he lives in Beaverbrook, which, again, for those of you from away, just a little ways outside of town, just a little village outside of Miramichi, known, I guess, at that time was a railway stop. So he finds this small silvery box. He says that it looks as if it's been covered in tinfoil. And inside are some strange machines or some kind of apparatus.
Weird.
So he brings in the RCMP, and the RCMP come to investigate what this is. And now they claim it's a weather balloon.
Oh, we heard this one before, didn't we?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And that it's something that was launched to monitor weather. Now, the strange thing to me is that they say that apparently it came from the U.S. Army, which, like, why is the U.S. Army launching weather balloons in rural New Brunswick?
We're not even the 51st state yet. Come on.
Exactly.
It's 1947.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah. But then they go on to say that they don't need to do anything with this apparatus because only the ones from the Navy need to be returned. So we're just going to take this, and we don't need to do anything
Always
with
the
it.
Navy. You don't think it is, but it's always the Navy.
Yeah, but anyway, it's strange to me because why go into those details? Why not
Yeah,
just say,
that's
listen,
very
we're going to take this away, and we're going to, Mr. Bjornstrom, you just,
Yeah.
thank you for calling us. We're gonna,
That's really peculiar.
But that's so, and again, was the silvery box what everybody else was seeing? I don't know.
Yeah.
But that kind of concludes the coverage in the local media at the time.
Whatever happened to Mr. Bjornstrom? Do you have any idea?
I'm not sure. He was living out in Beaverbrook. I'm assuming that's probably where.
It's a very powerful name. Bjorn is bear, and Strom is stream. So bear stream.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah, but
Okay. Well, I mean, not to get too far off on a side note, but of course, there was a pretty large Scandinavian population here in those years. Of course, they were the key, which may link up there, were the key to the installation of the old wireless telegraphy station right where we're sitting right now. This was part of the old wireless field.
Okay, so some new technology coming to the area.
Yeah.
Is there a way we can blame this on Sweden? That'd be great.
I don't
That'll
know.
definitely help our followers.
Yeah, maybe.
Please share this, sweetie.
Yeah.
I love you, Clara. Yeah.
So they were the key to that. I often wonder too if all of this is sort of all these visitations are kind of being set off by the Second World War, the nuclear age, all of that. If that's something that's kind of bringing people, or bringing entities here to kind of monitor what's going on. Like
that's kind of the idea at the moment. I think it is when the bombs got dropped on Japan, something happened, and a lot of people, way smarter than me, believe that something somewhere that caused something to happen. And whether they saw it or experienced it or felt it or whatever, they started to make trips here because these these idiots have gone too far. Like they're gonna destroy everything if they don't watch out. So they started watching way closer after that point. Yeah.
And I think sometimes we have this kind of idea of extraterrestrials as somehow good or evil or whatever. But I mean, it's, there could just be a situation where that they have a scientific interest in what's going on. Like, what are they going to do now that they've harnessed the atom?
It's so interesting because it's that scientific element, but it's also there's a religious element there too, because you know your Bible better than me, Shawn, and there's UFOs and aliens mentioned in that. Too.
Well,
there is
fair.
Whatever these things are, they've been around for a while, and the stuff that appears like in the Old Testament, you're like, what is that? And that's really interesting. Something now I'm just thinking about, like, again, if you haven't caught on already, this New Brunswick, Miramichi area, this is not. It's not New York City, is it? No. It's not not Toronto. It's not Moscow. It's not London. It's none of these cities, where you'd be watching real close. So it's interesting, and especially we're not even talking about Newcastle and Chatham, the two big towns here. We're talking places like Beaverbrook and really outside
Logieville,
exactly, that are really outside. So they're really watching your average everyday people at this. So it's very much the voyeur UFOs at this point. I knew it.
Yeah.
Not watching our prime ministers or premiers or anything like that. No.
But I suppose it's much like us, right? There are people that study kind of the powerful, and there are people that study the average person, right?
That'd be a great job. Imagine being some UFO, like you're getting sent to Miramichi. Oh, you're going to have a good time. You're going to see things that you'll never see in Toronto.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
I would sign up for that job. If I was the alien, I was like, I am going to, yeah. You'll get offered hermit's wine in this place, UFO. Yeah, that's why the eyes are so big. They'll open your eyes. Yeah,
It certainly will.
yeah. Let's do a deep dive on that sometime.
Yeah.
Deep dive on hermit's wine coming. Yeah,
Exactly. That's it.
Behind
That's
a
it.
paywall for sure.
Oh, 100%, 100%. That's it. Made in Ontario, but not sold in Ontario.
yeah.
What's going on?
Why is that?
Yeah, exactly. So back to the UFOs. We don't really see a whole lot of activity again until 1953. Now, from here on, I have to say that I'm using the information that was collected by Don Ledger in this book, Maritime UFO Files, which I found and was very, very informative for me. Again, taken from military records and RCMP records. So I don't know. I'm not a paid endorsement, but I think Don's done some really, really great work, and certainly brought to my attention a lot of episodes that I didn't otherwise know about.
That's
And
great.
has it broken down by decade, and really sort of, the sightings from all over the Maritime provinces. So again, I think definitely worth a read if you're interested in this sort of thing, because it's clear that he's done a little bit of research on it.
You sold me, Sean. Yeah, and as I was saying, there's not many. I can't think of any books like really from. We got so many books on ghosts. We do, and cryptids and everything you can possibly imagine. And witchcraft, even thanks to Creepy Dave, hooked me up with a really good book on witchcraft from the area. But yeah, UFOs. It felt like there wasn't a whole lot there. But I guess it's not. The files are finally being opened now.
Right.
I guess
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he makes note of a lot of that. Like when do these files become, declassified or go from, top secret to, something else. So that I'm assuming he did a lot through access to information.
Yeah.
So the first ones that he kind of notes from this area happen in March and April 1953. So in March of 53, there is a sighting at CFB Chatham.
Okay.
So for those of you that are not aware, we had an Air Force base here in the community until the 90s.
What an Air Force base that was, too.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's
It
true.
was locked and loaded, wasn't it?
It was in 1964. Nuclear weapons were stored here in Chatham.
Right here, folks. Right here.
Exactly.
That's scary. Think about that.
And that could be certainly something that we'll touch on in future
for
episodes
sure.
as well, because that was certainly something that a lot of people, the U.S. Air Force was also here during those years. So
It's so funny. I got to touch on this because I remember my aunt was married to her. Yeah, my uncle by marriage this would be, and he was picking up trash or whatever. He was a garbage man at the base back there or whatever. I remember him telling this story when I was a kid, and he's like, we got nuclear bombs there and stuff like that. And she's like, shut up. They don't have anything, Jeff. Be quiet. They're not going to bring that here. They brought it here. And so it's kind of wild that, there was the bombs that could have blown up the whole place. And,
that's it. And so in March of 1953, there was a sighting of an object in the sky that was traveling at incredible speeds. So it didn't show up on the radar. They took there was a pilot in the air at the same time. I tried to take a picture of it. Nothing showed up. But for 4 minutes in March of 1953, again, there was an object that was visible with the naked eye. But again, traveling at something like 900 kilometers an hour.
wow.
So
That's
so very fast. So traveling, but again, for 4 minutes traveling across the sky, he was seen. So then in April, so just a matter of a couple of weeks after this first sighting, there was another sighting that was made, this time by a civilian pilot. Now, this civilian pilot, Don Ledger goes out of his way to say, very credible source, had served in civilian air traffic, but also with the RCAF and done government work as well. So, this is not somebody that's just, kind of up there for the first time and doesn't know what the hell he's doing. But this craft, they're talking about something that's about 25 feet across and coming toward the plane. That's it. And just, but that eventually goes under the plane and and flies away. And this civilian pilot was actually interrogated by U.S. Air Force intelligence.
Okay.
So
Interesting. Yeah. They're working together. The two governments, the U.S. and Canada, are working together against the people to get information.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. That's so strange. And you mentioned too, the civilian, again, Air Force pilot, somebody that's really respected. And we have, I think you told me this before, there was a local doctor who cited something, didn't he?
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. So in 1977, there are sightings made by Dr. McGilvery, who sees kind of a reddish green object just kind of suspended in the air.
Okay.
So he calls CFB Chatham, and just kind of see, maybe they've got something up in the air at that time. What are they seeing? And they look and they can see the same thing. And so they monitor it, but within about 20 minutes, it leaves as well. Yeah.
Interesting.
So that I think is in that's in July of 1977. In November, there's a sighting in Acadeville, just outside of Rogersville. Yeah.
Interesting. So it's all over there. And as far as I know, Dr. McGilvery is still alive. So everybody on the internet should call that doctor and ask for this story. It's not like a doctor's busy or anything.
Not in this day and age. That's it.
Yeah. So Acadeville and Rogersville, that's good. It means the UFOs are not divided by language like most of this province.
Well, there you go.
They'll find you either way.
That's right. That's right. So it's an RCMP officer who sees this flying object from his home and calls a priest and calls a friend to see. Did they see it? The priest says he sees nothing.
I see nothing.
That's it.
I call the Pope to see.
Yeah, maybe.
I see what the Pope sees.
The friend says he can see what this officer is seeing, but he can also see that it's moving, which the officer didn't say. Now, I guess this officer is sort of questioned by his superiors, and his superiors say that, I guess they kind of cast doubt on the whole thing. They feel that this officer was somebody who often consumed a lot of material on UFOs, so figures that sort of, explains why he saw this thing. He just sort of come up with it, I don't know if in his own mind, or just misinterpreted some celestial happening.
Small gating community like that, they're going to side with the priest back in those
Well,
days.
maybe
The priest didn't see anything. We didn't see anything either.
Maybe so.
Screw that cop. His last name is Smith. Oh, God. So, yeah, that's really interesting. What year did you say that was?
That was 1977, November.
77. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, we're moving on out of that time period. Yeah. So, interesting. Yeah, moving on to the late 70s. And then, is there anything else we have after that?
The last sighting that Don Ledger records is in 1980, and it's in Red Bank. So Metapanagag.
There you go. Again, these UFOs will find you. Even if you're indigenous, they will find you. The great equalizers, the UFOs.
So two women traveling along, and they see up over top of the trees, they see this kind of diamond-shaped object in the sky that seems to be following them. And the car starts to kind of malfunction. According to what Don Ledger took from the documents at the time, they said it kind of started to run rough, so it started to seize up in some way. But the object kept moving on and passed them by within a matter of minutes, and they were able to kind of recover. But so that was the last sighting that Hugh kind of records from this area. But he certainly has some through the 90s in other parts of the Maritimes.
That's really interesting, yeah. And again, it disrupts the technology of the time. I think there's lots of stories out there. People seeing this from a car, and the car malfunctions, or whatever vehicle it is they're driving. The thing doesn't work right. Yeah. After encountering that UFO, so
exactly.
Yeah. So That was 1980.
Yeah.
Are we going to fast forward to Semiwagon Ridge in 2019 right now?
Are. So
Okay.
you have a story of your own, Tom.
I do. Exactly. Yeah. Semiwagon Ridge, inside of Burnaby, New Brunswick, inside of Miramichi. The tiny little place where I grew up with a population of like 40 or 50 people.
The homeland.
The homeland. Exactly.
Where your people came from. Where my people came from.
Exactly. There you go. Till these potatoes rolled all the way to Nelson.
That's right. That's right. Exactly. And poor Jimmy ended up dead in the garden patch, and the McCarthy's lost the house.
There you go. There's a story coming up too.
That's right.
Mysterious deaths in my home hamlet or Snivena Village, whatever it is. And anyway, so yeah, it was August of 2019, and I am taking out the trash from my parents' place. I'm staying with my parents at the time, visiting them, and so it's about, I think, after 10 o'clock, probably 11, maybe even going to midnight, sometime in August. And can probably find the exact date even. Definitely August of 2019, taking out the trash, look up at the sky, full moon, and Creepy Dave's going to put a photo up at this point to show people what it looked like. So the moon is there, and there's this floating turquoise green orb. And it's very strange. At first I look at it, I'm like, oh, what the hell? That's like a planet, but it's very close. And like when we see planets, I remember the other year, Jupiter, the biggest planet we got, just looked like a big star. It didn't look like this thing. This looked like it looked like the Death Star. This did. It was, a sphere, turquoise green, and out a ways from the moon. And again, to the naked eye, it felt like it was quite far away, maybe not as far as the moon. But anyway, so I took up my phone, which again, it's not the greatest photo because I'm zooming in as much as I can. It's 2019, and the phone is like 4 or 5 years old then, probably. So, I get a picture of it, and I got the one picture. And then immediately, of course, I'm like, I should take a video to see and right when I'm trying to do that, or like looking at my photo, I look up and I just see it gone, and it's disappeared. It's nowhere to be seen again. And it feels to me like it disappeared behind the moon. And again, people are, oh, it was a comet. You know what I mean? Well, no, it was stationary. It was like that. And then it just was gone. There was no tail or anything after it. It wasn't like it was a shooting star. It was just floating there. And like somebody tried to tell me, oh, there's a planet Neptune. You know what I mean? And like Neptune is pretty friggin' far away. And it's, you believe whatever you want. But I just saw this strange, turquoise green orb out from the moon that was just there for, maybe 10 seconds or something like that, or even from the moment I saw it, and then I'm like, I should get a picture of that. And got that one photo or so, and then I looked everywhere around the sky to see if it had zipped off somewhere else, but couldn't see it anywhere. So and again, I was not under anything at the moment. I was a good clean boy. I have not a drink in me, no substance whatsoever, and got that one photo to prove it. But as far as I know, I don't think there was any planets or anything supposed to be in the sky at that night, and no surveillance, at least that I know of, on Semiwagon Ridge. And like I said, we'll show the photo and let anybody comment away what you think it is in that photo, because it's pretty much in that photo what I saw with the naked eye. It's a little blurrier because I had to zoom in a little bit because I wish it could have been more focused, but again, old camera and all that, because it looked like a turquoise green Death Star. You know what I mean? So crazy stuff. So that's 2019, and now right here in January of 2025, this guy was coming from Fredericton, and someone was watching.
I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. Just driving home from Fredericton, and I could definitely see there was a little. I don't know if it was quite a bright light, and so if it was a star, it was a very bright star, with a little with kind of a faded light underneath it, and it was stationary in the sky, which makes me think that maybe it was some sort of celestial body, but it was very strange, and I was wondering what it was just last night. So but I can't seem to find any information that says it was, Venus was visible last night or whatever. So I don't know. Well, certainly ironic that the night before we're going to talk about, UFOs. There's a strange thing in the sky that I see. But was it a UFO? Am I just, freaking out over a planet or a star? Who knows?
Oh my God, it's the alien right there. Yeah. Wait, it's Creepy Dave.
Yeah, but there you go. That's it. Yes.
Awesome. Anything else we should add, Sean, or is it?
I don't think so. No, I think that just about does it. Certainly for the UFOs that we're seeing in this area and the strange things. Of course, if we find anything more or if we hear anything more, we'll certainly update you.
Yeah, so what are you going to do, folks? Comment. If you have UFO stories, share them. If you haven't done it already, please give us a thumbs up and share and subscribe. Hit the bell, all those good things that you do on YouTube to get more, to get our story out there. And we're lucky. We're finally living in a time where we can tell stories like this, and it feels like we're not going to get flagged or have the men in black show up outside our door, and
certainly
try to kill us.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. But if we're not here next week, you know why.
You know what happened. Yeah, so. Yeah.
That's right. And of course, like I say, we want to throw some support to our good friend and producer, Dave Jardine. So, have a look at his Coffee Doodles, David Jardine Coffee Doodles. Some great work that he does there, or in front of the camera, just like he does behind the camera for us each and every week.
All right. Cheers, everybody. Thanks, Dave. Thanks for watching.
Yep.